I'm Ron Patterson with Utah State University Extension in Carbon County. Now that we have the end wall built for our high tunnel, we need to put the cover on. It's easier to put the cover on if you've got it laying down. I've done them with them standing up, and it's possible, but it's a little easier with them laying down. What you need, of course, is your plastic cover, some sort of a lath stick. You can make your own, or you can go buy some lath stick. And then to screw them on, I use inch or inch and a quarter screws, and then I use a little flat washer that I put on there. And the reason for that flat washer is so that the screws, when they go through, don't split the lath. If you get that kind of a chamfered head going down and pushing out that wood, this thin lath stick would split. So I use that just to make a flat surface for the screw to hold onto the lath. Now another thing that I do, I need to fasten these end pieces here to the sidewalls, and so I put some plumber strap on at the top and the bottom that I'll be able to wrap around the T-posts on the end of the sidewall, so it'll hold it into place on the ends. We have to do some other support in the middle, but that's what I do to support it on the ends. So get my safety paraphernalia on here, safety glasses, got my screw gun, got my screws, got my lath stick. We'll start on this side, and we'll pull it tight across that side, then we'll roll up on the bottoms, down on the top, and then some support in the middle. So I just put that in, fold that over, fold the plastic over a little bit, and roll it a good one time there. Now I've got it going through the plastic, and it's not going to be as likely to pull out. So we'll just start screwing it into place now. When I come from the other side, I'll be pulling it tight, so I don't have to worry really about it getting tight. Just need to get it fastened in really well here. Again, using the washers on each screw. This end plastic should last longer than the plastic that goes over the arches. It's but it will be left out. I'm not going to take it off every winter either, so maybe it won't last any longer, but my experience has been that the end plastic usually lasts pretty good if we don't have too much wear and tear on it. This is some used plastic I've had from other, so I have to make sure I don't have holes in there. So we'll go and pull it on the other side and get it tight. So I want to get it pulled tight against that other wall, so we've got a good tight surface. This is cold season now, so it'll stretch in the warm weather, so we don't want it to be too sloppy. The challenge, of course, is getting it even as we roll it up and pull it tight here. And depending on how much of a perfectionist you are, doesn't have to be perfect, unless of course you're a perfectionist. And what this rolling does on the lath, it makes it so that, I mean, if you just put it down on plastic, you could do that, but those screws would be more likely to pull through, or the plastic would be more likely to pull through where those screws are. So the rolling helps to keep it steady in place there, and makes it so that the wind won't be as likely to pull it through. Alright, getting this tight across the bottom is going to be a little bit of a challenge because I have two pieces of lath, and I'm trying to do it. If I had one piece, it'd be a lot easier. It doesn't have to be, I'm going to pull it tight when I get up to the top, so it doesn't have to be real snug here, but that ought to work. One thing, you don't want to have too much of a bunch up here in the corner, so you need to trim out a little bit. I'm going to cut this off about 6 inches out of the doorway, but when I roll it here, then it won't be bunched up in a corner. I cut off in the corner there, cut off on the corner there, so that as I roll these up, I don't get a big wad of plastic, because I'm rolling 2 different directions. It'd be a big wad there, so that will keep it from wadding up, and it will look a little bit neater. So we need to cut out the doorway, and otherwise we won't be able to get in and out of the high tunnel. So the plastic cuts really quite nicely. Take your scissors like that, do it on the bottom piece here, and then I'll need to approach it from the top where I can reach it. Make sure we don't go up too high here. When we get that pulled tight, on an inside corner you just want to do a 45-degree angle here, but we don't want to get it until we get it all pulled tight. We're not going to roll the door area. I've got the doorway cut out. Alright, here's where I want to try to get it fairly tight. See if I can get it. Tight like that, and roll it up. That's pretty good. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll finish tightening that up. I'll do the doors, and then when we've got this all set, we'll set it up against the high tunnel. On the door, I kind of doubled the plastic over and made a little bit of a weather strip plastic there, just to kind of slow the wind coming down the crack on the door. And on the hinge side, I took the plastic across. On the hinge side, I took the plastic across and fastened it to the door. Didn't fasten it to the wall, I actually fastened it to the door over the top of the hinge, so that'll keep the air from going in that crack along the edge of the door. So kind of weather stripping the door a little bit as I can, using the plastic to do that. One last thing I will do before I set this wall up is fasten some wiggle wire track around the outside and upper edge. That's so that I've got something to fasten the plastic over the top with in the springtime. So all the way around the edge of it now, I'll fasten the wiggle wire track. Now, to fasten the wiggle wire track, they provide you with these self-tapping hex head screws. They're fairly sturdy, stout. They don't break so easily. I like to use these 2-inch grabber screws. The head doesn't take up quite as much room in the track. If you're going to be putting 3 or 4 layers, a couple layers of plastic and a shade cloth and things like that, that hex head gets in the way a little bit, and so it's a little bit easier to work with the wiggle wire and several layers of material if you use a grabber screw rather than the hex head self-tapping screw. The thing is, you'll have to do probably about twice as many. I've had these grabber screws break in the winds that we get around here. So you'll need to have probably no less than one every 12 inches to hold your track down and not have it pull out in the wind. All right, I'm ready to stand this thing up now. So I'll go get some help and we can stand it up. I've done them on my own before, so it's possible. I just don't feel like lifting it by myself today, so I'll go get some help and we'll stand this wall up in place. So what we'll do to lift this up is we will start here at the top corner of this stud that goes past the doors. That's the sturdiest place. We'll lift it up here, drag it into place, and slide it right into the high tunnel. Lift with your legs. I usually do this by myself. Okay, we'll just get to the end and kind of slide it back. Don't let it tip too far, you'll break it. Hang on. That door needs to fasten. All right, that will give it enough sturdiness. I've got a few more points that I need to screw in on it and put these T-posts on the inside for support. I need to do this on the bottom. To keep the plastic from flapping too much in the wind, I've placed a lath stick on the plastic where that cross member is on the end wall, so that'll help to keep it a little bit sturdier. Your plastic won't flap quite so much, flap so hard. So this is an outside the door type latch. In order to make it so I can open the door from the inside, I run a wire from the latch through the stud here and make that so I can pull from the inside to open the door. So to do that, I'll need to drill a hole. We're about where that wire will hit, about right there. Drill a hole through the stud. Ouch. Now there's a sliver to dig out. And I can push the wire through. It'll pull up like that. Then when the door shuts, it'll pull that latch down, open it from the inside. So here's the wire inside the door. You pull that, latch opens, you pull it shut, and it sometimes you have to push on the wire, but it fastens down. Now the door's sturdy. So I'm trying to line up my latch here. I moved a little bit when I did the door, so I need to realign the latch and then put my handle back on. Pretty simple task. Just make sure that you're... I'm going to have to move that too. Just make sure that you're this needs to be able to go in there. So that the latch will hold that in place. Okay. Okay. Latch is a simple cantilever system where it hits against the back and pushes that down, and then I have a wire that goes on the inside so I don't lock myself in the high tunnel. You know, not that I couldn't lift up the side curtain and walk out, but you know, makes it a little easier to go out the door if you can pull the wire from the inside. I need to adjust this down so that that latch doesn't hit the board, but that's how it works. Just latches in, holds that in place. When it's windy, the door stays shut. Got the handle so I can grab onto it. Got a vent on my door so I can drop that down. When it gets hot, that's one of my stages of ventilation, so I can open that up and let the heat out when it's not too hot. When it gets hotter, you open up the door and let it ventilate. And then when it gets hotter still, then you open up the side curtains and open up the door. So that's kind of how the ventilation system works. This is where I've got my kind of a seal on the doors, that folded over plastic, so that helps keep the hold this out so you can see it. This plastic right here keeps it from being quite so free with the air right there. So got this up. I need to set some T-posts on the inside. Before I do that, I need to pull my weed barrier out a little bit farther. Then we'll set the T-posts and then it'll be set. One way that I hold the door open, I put this eye screw on this cross member right here and tie a piece of twine on there, and then I can latch it right there onto the latch. When the wind's blowing, it keeps the door in place, and that will also reduce the pressure. I leave these walls up all winter long, so it will reduce the pressure. If I leave the door open, reduce the pressure on the wall during the winter. So I put the latch on in this eye hole, this eye screw, and holds the door open so that I can leave the door open all winter long. It doesn't shut. Same thing during the summer when I leave the doors open all summer long. When it's hot, I'll just hook it right there. Keeps the door open.